What happens when the ultimate prehistoric alligator meets the most ferocious prehistoric crocodile? We're going back millions of years to show you the battle of a lifetime. In one corner, we have the Postosuchus, a crocodile-like beast that has armored skin and teeth as sharp as daggers. And then we have the Deinosuchus. It's even more terrifying than its competitor, weighing nearly as much as a T-Rex. But there's a big problem with the Deinosuchus. It takes a long time for it to grow into adulthood. I'm talking 35 years. So if this beast meets the Postosuchus at the wrong time, that means it's game over. If you're coming in from What If, you saw these two creatures in action. Now it's time to see them fight. And honestly, I can't wait any longer. Let's get right into it. Can you hear that? That's the sound of the Postosuchus making its presence known. It tells every single dinosaur in the area, I'm the top dog, get used to it. But the Deinosuchus doesn't even flinch hearing that sound. Hiding in the deep seaway nearby, this colossal alligator is using a familiar tactic to any alligator fans, waiting in ambush for that explosive strike. It's impressive that something this size can hide at all, but it's enough to trick our Postosuchus challenger. It strolls in looking for its next kill, unaware of the danger that lurks in the water. Turning its back to the water, the Deinosuchus sees its chance, exploding out of the water, mouth agape, looking for the kill. The Postosuchus spins around quickly, using its massive tail to spin and hit the Deinosuchus away. Slightly dazed, the Deinosuchus quickly recovers to jump and bite the Postosuchus in the leg. The Postosuchus screams in pain, but brings that roar into a bite right into the Deinosuchus's back. They're locked, biting and squeezing, and AI, what do you think happens next? Okay, all right, AI isn't quite there yet, which means we need to figure out for ourselves how this battle is going to end. Let's get right into it. Postosuchus. In this corner, the deadliest reptile in the Triassic, it's the Postosuchus. This crocodile, actually, okay, before we go forward, I need to clarify that the Postosuchus was technically not a crocodile, but it was very, very closely related, and that's close enough for me. Anyway, at over 15 feet long, 8 feet tall, and weighing over 660 pounds, this crocodile, sort of, was massive, able to take down any creature even slightly smaller than it. This was mostly because of, oh my god, just look at the size of its head. Their skull could grow up to 3 feet long. That's the equivalent of us looking like Megamind. Because of this, the Postosuchus grew a massive muscular tail to counterbalance and let them walk almost like a T-Rex. Forearms off the ground, thick back legs to carry it forward. Much like modern day crocodiles, the Postosuchus was covered in osteoderms, or bony plates that could protect them from slashes and bites. Their forearms would house giant grappling hook claws that could dig in and pin prey to the ground for their ultimate attack, their bite. With 47 dagger-like teeth and a jaw that could swallow a house cat in one bite, the Postosuchus would have the bite strength to easily surpass the modern-day crocodile. But could that bite force surpass the prehistoric alligator? Spoiler alert, it's not looking so good for the Postosuchus. Deinosuchus. And in the other corner, one of the largest predators in North America for over 11 million years, it's the Deinosuchus. This alligator, okay, I gotta say it again, technically, the Deinosuchus is not an alligator, but it is very closely related to it. So close, in fact, scientists used to think there was a direct line all the way until 2025. Anyway, back to the video. To really understand just how large the Deinosuchus was, I found this old image of a bunch of scientists looking at a recreated Deinosuchus skull, and okay, I am suddenly very glad that they are extinct. Growing up to 36 feet long and weighing over 15,000 pounds, it was twice the weight of the largest tyrannosaurs at the time, and over 4 times bigger than any modern alligator. And the Deinosuchus used this size. The Deinosuchus would attack and take down any animal that it could swallow whole, which, when you're the size of a school bus, turns out to be most animals. Their teeth and bite force would match that of a T-Rex, meaning that one quick ambush would spell the end of any dinosaur in an instant. There was no struggle, with the Deinosuchus. Covered in giant bony plates called scutes, the Deinosuchus could protect themselves from any predator if they made it to adulthood, that is. Scientists estimate that it would take almost 35 years for the Deinosuchus to reach adulthood, a long time to be vulnerable to other predators. But once they made it, it would be pretty unlikely to die of anything other than old age. The Deinosuchus was just essentially like a Pokemon evolution. Shout out for Alligator. We are now all set up for the lightning round, which will help us determine who the ultimate winner could be. We're gonna go through 3 different rounds, starting with hunting tactics. The Postosuchus was the ultimate ambush hunter, mostly because it was too slow and heavy to hunt in any other way. Because it would stay mostly on land, the Postosuchus would hunt closer to a Komodo dragon than a crocodile, as it would hide in long grass and behind trees, and when its prey was close, bolt out with its forearms to pin its prey and deliver the fatal bite. The combination was so quick and deadly that the Postosuchus earned its title as the apex predator on land. But in the water, well, that's a different story. Deinosuchus, much like modern-day alligators, would wait near the shoreline, using the water as natural camouflage. If you've ever seen an alligator just appear out of nowhere in the water, you'll know just how effective this strategy is, regardless of size. Once their prey was near, the Deinosuchus would burst out of the water, using its massive jaws to crush, tear, and rip its prey in a single strike. Modern day alligators have adapted to death rolls and sometimes drowning their prey. The Deinosuchus's bite was so powerful that it actually never needed that adaptation. That's actually kind of a boss move. And that's the biggest reason why the Deinosuchus wins this round. Postosuchus has a similar strategy, but what makes the Deinosuchus so amazing is that this exact strategy has been used by its descendants for millions of years, and it's kept them on top of the food chain. The strategy is almost too good. They really need to nerf that. Winner, Deinosuchus. In this next round, we're finding out why both of our competitors aren't around anymore. Was it because they couldn't cut it in a changing Earth, or did they fail to adapt? Survivability. The Postosuchus was extremely adaptable on rich tropical land. But what happens when that's taken away? At the end of the Triassic period, dry and arid lands began to rise in North America, meaning trees and foliage began to shrink or disappear entirely. Unfortunately for our gremlin-sized T-Rex, that meant that ambush hunters had nowhere to hide, and distance or speed hunters started to really thrive. It's the main reason for their eventual extinction. You can't hide properly in 3-inch high grass, as funny as that looks. For our Deinosuchus, the exact reason for its extinction is unknown. But one thing is certain, it disappeared before the mass extinction event that wiped out most of the dinosaurs. The prevailing theory is that the drying areas of North America meant that inward sea it called home dried up, and with it, the only hope of ambush hunting. I mean, how do you hide a school bus in 3-inch high grass? Honestly, that's an even funnier image than the Postosuchus in the grass. Which means this category is a toss-up. Both perished because it couldn't survive America becoming dry. But with the water completely drying up, the Deinosuchus had no chance of getting food. But the Postosuchus still had a chance because it lived on land. And this slight, tiny, minuscule detail is where our Postosuchus sneaks out a win. Winner, Postosuchus. We are now in our final battle for the lightning round, and it's by far the one I'm most excited for. Which one of these competitors is more intimidating? This will help determine the true apex predator, because intimidation meant first access to prey and peace from other predators. Let me know down in the comments below who you think is more terrifying. Intimidation. Picture this. You're walking in a dense forest, and it's quiet. Too quiet for a forest supposedly brimming with life. You take a quick shortcut through a bush and stop. You feel hair rise in the back of your neck. Turning slowly, you're able to see briefly a flicker of eyes in a bush nearby. The bush rustles and silence returns. You go to run away, only to trip on a thick tree root on the ground. Turning slowly, you hear the quick footsteps as the Postosuchus charges at you, giant tail swinging as its jaw opens. But you somehow manage to get up and run as fast as you can. Bursting out of the forest, you're breathing too heavily to notice that you're right beside a giant lake, or so you think. The lake stretches for miles and miles as you see a slight current, and something odd about the water in front of you. The stream seems to break in front of you like a boulder in the water when eyes rise up. The Deinosuchus, seeing easy prey, slowly exits the water, mouth agape, and you feel what true terror is. Those piercing eyes, rows of sharp serrated teeth, and finally nothing at all. It's really pick your poison with these two monsters, but for me, it's definitely the Deinosuchus that gives me goosebumps. Having something that large and imposing is just too much for my monkey brain. Winner, Deinosuchus. And with that, we have the winner of our lightning round, the Deinosuchus. But that doesn't mean it's over for the Postosuchus. This prehistoric crocodile was still the largest land predator of its time and was the apex for a reason. All it does mean is that we are ready to go into what could be the most gruesome battle in Versus history. Two kaiju reptiles who thrive in the same area. Brute strength, terrifyingly huge, and jaws that could snap me in half. Let's see what happens when they battle each other. It's time for the first fight. A true 1v1, a basic arena, no complications, no help, no environmental hazards. Just a Postosuchus versus a Deinosuchus. It's the rivalry millions of years in the making. Let's jump right into it. Folks, looking at these two reptiles side by side, I finally understand just how large the Deinosuchus is. With both competitors losing their ambush style of hunting, it's become a pure battle of power. And it's hard not to think that the Deinosuchus has the Postosuchus beat already. But this prehistoric crocodile has a different idea. Sprinting around the side, the Postosuchus digs its forearms into the ground to find any opening. The Deinosuchus tries to keep up, but the Postosuchus has the upper hand. Deinosuchus's large 11-ton body is designed for water traversal. On land, it would move extremely slowly, which means our Postosuchus has a rare opening. It dives into the Deinosuchus's side, claws and teeth ready to pierce. With no defense from the Deinosuchus, this might be it, but something's wrong. The Postosuchus can't get through the Deinosuchus's bony armor, and it's the slight advantage that this Deinosuchus needed, pushing its 11-ton body. The Deinosuchus rolls onto the Postosuchus, crushing the poor creature to the ground. Dazed and confused, the Deinosuchus slowly turns around, the weight of its tail dragging against the ground. The Postosuchus has nowhere to go. Badly injured from one movement, this Postosuchus is looking for any escape. But the Deinosuchus has a different idea. Its jaws open. This prehistoric alligator has found its next meal. In a straight fight, no complications, no hazards, strength versus strength, there is no doubt in my mind that the Deinosuchus would win. While the Postosuchus may match its modern day descendant, the Deinosuchus is in a class of its own. Imagine a crocodile trying to take down an alligator the size of an elephant. It's heavier, it's stronger, it's deadlier, and it's the reason why the Deinosuchus is our winner. But that's an unfair fight, right? You're telling me the Postosuchus would really see something like this and think it could take it down? So instead, I've come up with 3 more fights to really understand who the true winner of this Versus episode is, and also give a little more love to our Postosuchus fans out there. Let's jump right into it. Comparative size. In this first fight, I'm not pitting the Postosuchus against a fully grown Deinosuchus. Instead, I'm pitting it against a Deinosuchus that's around 10 years old, matching the size and weight of our Postosuchus competitor. Let's see what happens. This is the fight I wanted to see. A true battle of strategy and ferocity. The Postosuchus has spotted the young Deinosuchus lurking outside the water, feasting on a kill. Seeing that the Deinosuchus is distracted, our prehistoric crocodile explodes towards the occupied dinosaur, ready for another meal. But this Deinosuchus has been fighting for its entire life, and knows that nowhere is truly safe in Hell's Aquarium. The Deinosuchus spins around, jaw open, ready for the attack. But the Postosuchus is an apex predator for a reason. It drops its forearms, throwing dirt up and temporarily blinding the inexperienced alligator. Instantly, the Postosuchus changes courses, looking for any weakness, and there it is, a gap in the armor. The Postosuchus jumps and sinks its claws into the Deinosuchus's neck. As the Deinosuchus roars in pain, its only hope, the water. Using its powerful muscles, the Deinosuchus claws itself towards the water, but this Postosuchus has only begun its assault. Digging and biting, blood flying everywhere, the Deinosuchus is starting to slow down. The water, what was once its only escape, is now its last sight as the Postosuchus gets its well-deserved meal. If we remove size and power differences on these two dinosaurs, we see that the Postosuchus has the experience and instincts that vastly outmatch such a younger, inexperienced predator. Deinosuchus needed to survive 35 years against predators like this, and in this instance, well, it just got unlucky. Winner, Postosuchus. In this next round, we're testing who the ultimate ambush hunter is, and you might be surprised. Realistic environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting for hours. It turns out when you're waiting for two ambush hunters to fight, their first tactic is to wait for a very long time. But something is bound to happen. Something is happening. The Postosuchus is trying a new strategy to lure the Deinosuchus out of the water. Disappearing back into the forest, suddenly a smaller prey bursts out of the forest towards the water, running from the Postosuchus. Such a smart move. Trick the ambush hunter with easier prey. Deinosuchus bursts out of the water, grabbing and killing the smaller prey in an instant. Seeing its opportunity, the Postosuchus rushes into the distracted Deinosuchus, claws and jaws out. Grabbing onto its tail, it's able to pierce the thinner scales of the Deinosuchus, but it's not a vital limb for this bus-sized alligator. The Deinosuchus is able to, lift him with the force? Oh my god, is this Deinosuchus a Jedi? Calm down, AI. What it does normally is lift it with its tail and slam it to the ground. The Postosuchus tries to recover, but the Deinosuchus has found new prey. Spinning quickly, it opens its massive jaws to bite the competitor in two. Wow. I did say that you might be surprised, not actually surprised. Deinosuchus's ambush tactics and power outmatches the Postosuchus so much that when I got AI to make a video of it, the battle lasted 8 seconds. Winner, Deinosuchus. We're now on to the final round. Deinosuchus has won the traditional fight and the realistic environment at 2 wins, while the Postosuchus is only at 1 win. If it wants any chance at the crown, it needs to win this fight. So I've decided to switch everything up. We're doing a survival challenge to see how long these two could live in one of history's most deadly seas, Hell's Aquarium. Surviving Hell's Aquarium. Millions of years ago, North America had a giant seaway called the Cretaceous Seaway that stretched from the Hudson Bay down to the Gulf of Mexico. It was nicknamed Hell's Aquarium because of just how many carnivorous sea monsters were in there. And it's our new location of our final battle. Deinosuchus calls this place home, swimming through the giant seaway, barely noticing the life around it. This 11-ton monster has nothing to fear, but we can't say the same thing about our Postosuchus challenger. He's unfortunately the perfect size for dinosaurs like the Tylosaurus, a giant mosasaur, and giant sharks like the Crocodile-like. While the Deinosuchus lazily swims by, the Postosuchus is fighting for its life. I'm not even sure the Deinosuchus will get its chance to see the Postosuchus. He has his own problems. Giant predator after giant predator see a heavy, slow land dinosaur splashing around, and that's where I have to end it because every single AI video generation denied my prompts. So here's a crude drawing I made of what would happen. The big difference between our two competitors is that the Deinosuchus lived and thrived in this environment for millions of years. Postosuchus definitely could have been a deadly predator, but to be the top of the top, you need size and power, and that's something that Deinosuchus truly shines in. Winner, Deinosuchus. And that's it. We have one of the most undisputed victories in Versus history, the Deinosuchus. Honestly, it wasn't until I was researching this video and writing the script that I realized the vast difference in size and power between these two. And it's definitely the prehistoric alligator that's the winner. But what about a modern day crocodile versus a modern day alligator? Check out that episode on Versus and many more on the channel. And also, don't forget to subscribe.